Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. A life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. No Fruit Podcast. We'll help your spirit transform.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's going on? It's Reese.
And it's Kafa.
And so today we're going to jump all the way into it. So I would like to share our experience right now on what you're experiencing on the No Fruit Podcast with us doing interviews and expanding our reach. And I want to talk about this because it has changed my mindset when it comes to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And really the podcast is a microcosm, right? I guess a
SAT word,
right?
Yeah.
You know, of our life. And so I'm just using this as the example today. And I wonder how many of you are going through the same thing. So as we're going through this holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Happy New Year, Valentine's Day season, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all the above.
Tuesday.
Whatever you're going through, just be thankful for your growth in
Yes.
any situation. But also understand that you're not going through it by yourself. And I'm saying this, or I'm bringing this up to y'all because if you've listened to the show and people that we've spoken with, first of all, there's quite a few that's been married just as long as we have.
Yes.
One or two that's been, a little longer.
Yeah.
But most have been married around the same amount of time, and so
in the air, I guess.
and so yeah, right. And so, but here's the thing, though. In those, we're the youngest, though.
You
So
think?
yeah, we're the young. Based off of some of their backgrounds and things
Okay.
like that, where they were doing their corporate America jobs for X amount of time before they even got married or whatever. So there's a few that they're married the same amount of time, but they're just a little older.
Okay.
I would say a little older. But I've been reminded that as we continue to grow and expand and get out of our corner, that they're just like us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like them. No matter what we look like, where
Right.
we live, whatever. And so I have to I just got to share this today that, I'm growing because of seeing and hearing these stories.
Yeah. And I hope the audience is as well. And I have to, agree with Maurice that it's one thing to sit and talk to these individuals and have the kumbaya moments and, hey, like Maurice said, I'm not the only one in this situation.
Right.
And it's sometimes good, it's like testimony service. You're able to hear other people and say, hey, they came out of it, or,
Right.
Things that we're going through, they've gone through as well, or are still in. So it's been a really great thing for us and for myself just to, again, hear other people talk about life, love, marriage, kids, all the different things. And I think they all have been powerful and most definitely impactful in the decisions we've made and everything like that. So I hope that the listeners are enjoying it is just as much. But I just think like when I look back on just the past, however many episodes we've had interviews, everybody has kind of poured into not only the podcast, but poured into us. So I know some of the interviews we've had, they don't know much about us, but it's like after the interview, it's like, wait a minute, how did you know this went on this week? Like, I just had a really rough week or a really rough day.
Right.
And these individuals are like speaking right to our situation, so it's been really, really on point, really, really, ironic, really, really of God, really, really, I can't find the word for it, divine, I guess, that, these individuals are being planted into our life for a time as this. And I hope that not only has it been a blessing to us, but I hope that it's been a blessing to all those that are listening as well. And I hope that the stories that Maurice and I share are also as equally a blessing to the listeners, and is equally as a blessing to those who we had a interview with. So That's what I had to say so far.
I mean, so I just brought it up because, you know, sometimes you get nervous about walking outside your boundaries, your whatever it is, your box, your corner,
Mm-hmm.
your jumping on, like, how people say, I dare you come across this line. They put the
Right.
line in the sand type
Mm-hmm.
thing. So jumping all the way into that
Mm-hmm.
um has been, like you said, a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the difference is for me is I'm doing it with you.
Right.
So, I mean, for
But
those of you who know that the other podcast, I've been doing it for over 2
I would say
years.
that's the difference. You've been doing it by
Right.
yourself and doing the interview and being outside of your box for so many years,
Right.
if you will. So you've, most definitely not a novice at it. Have won awards on it.
Yes.
Won an award and been nominated for awards
Right.
for being a podcaster and being an interviewer and all those things. And everyone that you've talked with on both podcasts seem to say that you have, a dynamic voice and that you have a great presence and that, you make them feel very comfortable with the interview process and asking questions and all those things. So, there is something special and there is a special gift there within you. And I think that's just great that you are
The gift that looks good on you. I'm sorry.
putting that gift out to others, you know what I mean? And like you said, getting outside of your box, getting outside of just this. And, I'm, as Maurice and I have talked, where does this go and where does this mean for him? What does this mean for us as a family? And I'm excited about where God is taking you and taking all of this podcasting
Mm-hmm.
and all of your many, many words,
Mm-hmm.
and how hopefully, prayerfully, that it will be an opportunity for you to speak outside of the podcast for those
Mhm.
that don't listen to podcasts and things like that, where they want to hear you in other places, whether you're a keynote speaker or whether you are just teaching someone or talking to someone about the various topics that whether it's entrepreneurialism or if it's
Entrepreneurialism.
whatever. I made a new word,
Yeah, I
y'all.
know, right?
Entrepreneurism, whatever the word is. Being an entrepreneur, y'all know what I'm trying to say. And if you don't, then
Google it.
Just- I don't know. Anyway, but being a father, being a husband, all those things. Like, I think there's just such a great opportunity for you. And I'm excited very, very much. That's what's wrong with me. I'm excited, Maurice. That's why I couldn't say the word.
Okay. If you say so.
Then you don't see the excitement on my face. Can't you hear it in my voice? Y'all hear it.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all, I'm scared.
Why?
Because I don't know what this excitement is. For those of you who really knows Kafa. Okay. If you really know Kafa, you know that's who she is. She can get into that excitement bag. But if you just know Kafa don't say a word. So I'm not sure which Kafa this is. For those of you now, I understand everyone is not to the zodiac, but she's a Libra, and Libra is
Libra's in the house.
is the scale. So sometimes you wonder which side of the scale, which version of Kafa, almost like a Gemini, you go get. But yeah. So I'm a little nervous because sometimes in that excitement is, Maurice, let's go get it. Let's conquer the world. Well, Kafa, can we pull it back a little bit? You do understand I'm a introverted extrovert. Like, so yeah. Anyway,
I'm not let's go conquer the world. I'm more so, you remember you said,
let's go conquer the world.
yeah, but you said let's go conquer the world. So
Yeah, I
I'll just
guess.
be like, you remember you said you wanted to conquer
You
the
want
world?
you want to hold me accountable.
I hold you accountable. I hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
But I gotta say that, I mean, that's good, to have that partnership, that person that's going to say, hey, I got a vision, I got a dream, and you're like, let's hold up to the dream, let's make it a reality. So yeah, I appreciate that. But in the meanwhile,
okay.
can I sleep a little while longer though? Can I take a nap?
No,
I'm sleepy.
absolutely
I'll
not.
be tired sometime.
No, absolutely not. You
I
told
got
me
you.
that you can sleep later in life.
Yeah.
When you're like 90.
Yeah, when naps are a pleasure.
Yes. But
Yeah.
as of right now, no, there's no time
When
for
you,
napping.
when I'm sitting back looking at the football game, when I get back to watching football, because I haven't been watching football in a while.
Just the highlights, because that's all you have time for.
Yeah, pretty much. So when I get a chance to actually watch a football game and
You'll probably be asleep.
yeah, I'll probably be asleep.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be watching. You have to go back to look at the highlights.
Especially, because I saw it in the refrigerator. If I got the ribs.
Oh,
If
yes.
I got the ribs, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Now I'm excited. Let's go to work. That way I can sit back and eat all the ribs I want. Ribs and potato salad.
I don't know if we're getting potato salad.
Huh?
Huh?
Macaroni salad?
I don't know. We'll see.
Macaroni and tuna.
We will see.
I mean, because it's too close to other holidays and times to have macaroni and cheese. So, we got to think about that for a moment.
We do.
We have to marinate on that. But I hope that each and every one of you who've been listening and has been able to take something from the episodes. I mean, we've covered a lot of different things.
A lot of different topics. Yes.
And so we're really working towards, and maybe you can see the vision of where No Fruit Podcast is going. We're trying to really become a well-rounded show where we are helping out all of you to become a better version of you. Whether you're an individual or a couple, whether you are an entrepreneur or you're working in a 9-to-5, whatever the situation might be, we're really trying to make sure that you are a well-rounded individual, like we are. Cuff and I are.
We're well-rounded, yes.
That's why I'm thinking about them ribs. Fat boy stuff. I'm sorry.
And potato salad. Like, it's not just the ribs. You got to
I'm
have
sorry.
potato salad with it.
Can we have corn on the cob, then we can't have potato salad? I'm sorry. Fat boy stuff. Anyway, we're getting off the subject. And so with that, and in that, as we're talking about these type of things, we hope that it encourages you to move forward, no matter the situation.
And I hope that you can see it's helping us to move forward. That's the part that I want to see. Like, I think we lead by example. I think that,
Well, let's give an example, right? Let's give an example of that.
yes.
So how many of you are dealing with life? And I'm going to tell you.
If not, you're dead, right?
No. Some of us don't deal with life.
Okay.
Some of us run away from
Run
it.
away from it, yes.
So when you're dealing with it, how do you deal with it? How do you move forward? So, for an example, we had an interview scheduled. Maybe an hour, 15 minutes before, maybe an hour, 10 minutes before, Kafa comes to me and say, "Hey, babe, come here for a second." Hey, Kafa, what's up? Is that water? We have a pinhole in our water line going to the washing machine.
No, it's going to the house.
No, well, that line is to the washing machine. So, that
But it's supposed to go upstairs too, right?
not that particular line. That one just goes to the washing machine.
Okay.
That piece. So, but here's the concern where Kafa's what she's referring to. See where that line and where it splits off at. It goes one part of that line goes to the washing machine. The other part of the line goes to the wash basin in a washroom. But also that same line just above it goes to the sink in the kitchen, right?
Yes.
So the problem is there is no shutoff valve in between any of those.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a shutoff from that one line. You take it to the right. There's one at the above. The line goes. There's a shutoff valve to the sink upstairs. The line goes to the washing machine. So within that line to the washing machine, there's a shutoff valve to the washing machine right before the washing machine,
Mm-hmm.
but not to that line. Same thing when it comes to the line to the wash basin. But in that one spot where that pinhole is, there's no cutoff valve.
Right.
So we would have to shut off the whole water to the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the reality. We had an interview, like I said, an hour before. So we had to get prepared. And so you got to deal with life no matter what the situation is. Are you able to adjust? Are you able to handle what's going on? And I'm saying all this because in life, the show must go on. But
Right.
some of us, we turn it off. We don't want to be bothered with it. We say, hey, it's
It's not
gonna
that bad.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, and I'm gonna be 100% transparent with y'all. In the past, the world would have been on fire
Mm-hmm.
because for all the other things that's going on in our lives right now, there's a lot. Most people would probably crack under the
Or
pressure,
cry.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't done either one. Well, I don't know if you have. I haven't.
No, I haven't.
And the reason being because I know God has something better for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all this is just a test. And so, how are you empowered? How are you encouraged
Mm-hmm.
or influenced? Whatever words you want to use to say, hey, I can still make it until tomorrow.
Right.
I could, or let alone the next minute. So
Mhm.
not just one day, but the next minute, because some of us feel like we can't make it the next minute. So how do you move forward with that?
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm hoping that these people that we have spoken to will help you, encourage you to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've offered a lot of information. We've offered a whole lot of information over the last 5 years or so.
Right.
And so now in season 6 and going into season 7, we're going to be offering more information, more content, more ideas. We have way more books and resources and things that's going to be coming out from the No Fruit podcast
Mm-hmm.
that's been inspired by where we've been and where we're going. And so some of us, sometimes you might look at that pinhole in that pipe and realize, oh, my life is done. I can't do anything else. Well, no, you got to keep powering through.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You
and
know.
you can't, like you said, some people turn and bury their head in the sand and don't, it's just a little bit of water. And then other people, like you said, will blow it out of proportion and like
Mhm.
it's the end of the world. The house needs to be sold. I can't live here anymore.
Right.
But it's all about that perspective
Right.
and what you do with it. It matters, and we're just happy to take this journey with everybody.
Yes.
And be transparent, as Maurice is saying, and because life is life.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Mhm.
it's a pinhole in the pipe or a nail in your tire, there's always going to be something, but it's how do you deal with it, whether it's a family member or something's always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be something that's going to be that thorn in your side, in a day. But how do you address it? How do you handle it? How do you make it so that it doesn't ruin your whole day? That's the key part. And that's, things that can make you feel, again, unfruitful.
So how do you deal with it?
I guess it differs for where I am in the day, just to be transparent and be
Mhm.
honest.
Mhm.
Sometimes I do bury my head and wait until another moment when I can address it. Because, again, the reality is, if your kid is acting up in the supermarket, you might not be able to address it the same way if they would if they threw a temper tantrum at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we were just talking to our family about that the other night. My son was explaining that, hey, there was a kid in his workplace that was kind of having a temper tantrum, and the way that the father had addressed it. And he said, he probably would not, he would have probably addressed it somewhat similarly, but he would have done some things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maurice, you had said, well, it kind of differs because if you're in public, you might address things one way.
Right.
But if you're at home, you can address that a whole nother way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So.
So and the way he stated, how Little Reese stated was, the baby was crying,
Mhm.
Tyler was crying, and he wanted to get picked up. So really, what it was is that he wanted to be close at that particular moment, and the dad, in typical me fashion,
Mm-hmm.
he started singing, "Let it go, let it go." So again, it's all about how. Now, granted, it would have been funny to us as parents,
Right.
as adults. For him, for the baby, he might not know any different or whatever else. Maybe it had worked in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it had changed the whole atmosphere for him, and then they started singing. Like, sometimes little things like that does, it's like the squirrel mentality, right?
Yes.
But No, the baby was on a mission. They wanted to get picked up per Reese. But, but how do you deal with these type of situations? Are you going to continue to cry and reach out or whatever it is? Or are you going to
Let it go.
Let it go, but letting it go being not necessarily burying your head, doing the ostrich, right? You're not burying your head in the sand, hoping and wishing it'll go away. It's letting go some of that challenge that's holding you back.
Right.
Now it's not always easy, right? We all understand that it's not easy. Right. Like you just said, Kav, it depends on the day.
It depends on the day. It depends on the situation. Because sometimes you can address it right then and there, and you can fix it. You know what I mean? Because it's an easy fix.
Right.
And it's like, hey, let me address this now, so that it's not building up to become more of an issue later on. If I'm in my car and I realize I have a flat tire and I'm still on the road and I can pull over and put air in it, let me address that situation now before I get on the expressway and I'm doing 60 miles, 70 miles per hour.
Right.
And that could cause more of an issue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it depends on what it is. Now, if it's pouring down raining, then I have to then think a little bit more on how am I going to get this air into this tire in the rain, hold an umbrella, and do everything else. So is it...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is it a situation where I'm calling for help and saying, hey, I need help with this? So again, you just have to address what's going on and analyze it, but not panic. And I think that's the part.
And I think that's what would happen to me in the past. Again, full transparency, because there's so many other things going on. So like we said to our guest, at that particular moment, you know what? I mean, you'll hear it in the show. Pinhole, transmission with Kafa's car, we're trying to do some other home update repair type stuff, and we're working on the podcast, and oh wow, we got to put on a smiling face, for the interview. How do you do that?
Right.
How do you keep that energy? It's not easy to do. It really isn't easy to do. So,
and I think some of that is understanding, and even as parents or in your workplace or wherever you are, you have to do that. You put on that smiley face because it's not for you. It's for that other person. It's for that world, so that's why we're here. Like, we might be struggling in a lot of places, and we can be transparent and share that, hey, we're struggling, but we still are here to provide encouragement. We're still here to say, plant that seed because something's going to grow, so you can't sit in your glumness and you can't sit in your pity. You got to snap out of it and keep moving. So that's why we come here and we share things with you all. And we put on the smiley faces. I mean, like, to be honest, like, hey, every episode that we've sat here together hasn't been something that, I'm so happy to be here.
Right.
I mean, we have struggled. I'm like, hey, it's just not good. I don't feel well. Like you said, other things are going on in the house or other things are going on with the family. But we know that there's someone out there that needs to hear our voice. We know that there's someone out there that needs to hear our message. So we do it. And we enjoy it.
We do.
At the end of the day, because we still grow from it. We may sit down in the beginning and but I must say, hey, after these 20 minutes that we've talked, or after this half hour that we've talked, you walk away feeling a lot better.
Sometimes.
Okay, you feel a little bit better.
Sometimes my gout didn't go away.
I didn't say the gout went away, but it took your,
It
allowed you to sit down for 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
It did, but sometimes, with my foot being down on the ground, sometimes the longer it stays, the worse it gets.
Right.
But even with that, now a lot of people are, and I think that's a good point. A lot of times you have no idea what that other person is dealing with. But it's not until you hear someone else's moment, you realize, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going through this pain right now. It's bearable. I can deal with it right now. It's not as bad as this other individual. So, Lord, bless them. I know I'm asking for myself, but bless them because they're going through it.
Right.
And their pain and their challenge is a little greater than mine. Now, they might be going through something. They might feel the exact same way you do. Mine ain't that bad, but Maurice's big toe look like, I'm going to get you, sucker big toe. You get what I mean? So sometimes you don't know that other person is probably praying for you just as much as you're praying for them, and it's never even spoken.
Yeah.
So to Kafa's point, I mean, we enjoy it. we're growing from it, and we hope that you are as well.
Exactly.
This has been a very interesting experience, both on the microphone and behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you talking about some changes, it's a whole lot of change. You talking about some growth, it's a whole lot of growth. There's also a lot of bumps and bruises. There's a whole lot of mental arguments. Kaf and I, we don't argue. But I might have a mental argument with her in my head. But by the time it comes out my mouth, it's not an argument. We might talk, or speak about certain things, and it could get a little, it could sound like it don't even sound like an argument. We just stand where we are.
I think because you're a communicator, I think you're an interviewer, you ask questions.
Which frustrates the bejesus out of you.
Right. So, but with all that, I think we challenge one another, not so much argue. It's the questions like, oh, why do you think that? Or, well, what about this, Maurice? Well, what do we cut the pipe here? And can you do this? And, well, Kyle, that won't work because of this and whatever. Okay, well, let's look it up and see what other people have done. So we challenge one another. It's not so much an argument. So I think that's something that's great about us is in that challenge, we come together and realize we both recognize that that's a problem. So I don't think there's too many things that's like, oh, well, that's not a problem. And somebody else is like, well, it is a problem, so we work together in that way that most times we find that we have those similarities. It's not too many things, okay, well, the car is not working. I think keep it. He thinks don't keep it, so we go back and forth. So we challenge one another, but we talk it through again, because Maurice is that communicator and whatnot. And again, I'm the scale and the balance are like, okay, well, if we do this, then that means what's going to happen with that. And, so let's go up and down and talk it through. So then we'll talk for a while. Let's sleep on it. We'll sleep on it. Then we'll come back and talk about it again. Okay, let's pray about it. We'll pray about it. So for those major big decision type things or those things that weigh heavily on us, that's what we do. So I don't think we have, like you said, arguments where I'm so firm and I'm bullheaded and stubborn. We both are.
And
to some degree.
I mean, so sometimes we do just go off and just do people things, right? Hey, you got your own decision, I got my own decision, and I mean, again, like you said, that's lack of communication. That's whatever it might be, right? But at least we try to talk about it.
Right.
We put forth the effort. That's the only reason why we're here today. If we didn't speak, if we didn't talk about it, because there's a lot of situations, and again, here's a learning process as well. Most of you know that we're going on 25 years of marriage. And so there's a lot of things, especially recently, where I said to Kafa, like, yo, if I had not matured, I could see where, right? If I did not have, or if I didn't calm down my mentality, I didn't calm down my whatever it is, we would not be here. I could definitely see it and hear it because of, again, we talking about this, people think about zodiac stuff and me being an Aries and whatever it is, and the fiery side of that. I have my moments. I have my moments. But if it wasn't for growth, if it wasn't for patience, if it wasn't for grace, if it wasn't for mercy, if it wasn't for, all these things.
Fruits of the Spirit.
Right. And speaking about that.
Oh, my.
We had I'm sorry, y'all. We are going on. We supposed to be off of this show. But Kafa said something the other day about patience, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, and she said it. She's like, Maurice, one of the fruits of the Spirit. So I said to her that her patience is forever. She has forever patience. I have yesterday patience.
You have for never patience. I have forever and you have for never.
Yes.
But and we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think you do have patience. You don't have tolerance. You can't tolerate foolishness. You know what I mean? Like, but you're patient to sit there and work on the car for a month.
Yes.
You're patient enough to sit and read through a whole book and then not get the answer to the end.
Right.
Me, I'm like, I'm on chapter 3 and I ain't figured this. The title says I'm gonna have the answer. When is it coming?
Okay, I got you.
But you had the patience to do all that. You had the patience to take apart a computer and all these little pieces and put it back together.
Yeah.
Go to this store and find this one little part and put it up. No, I don't have that patience. Now,
I want things complete, though. That's part of my issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want it done, complete, and then I ain't got to worry about it anymore. So that's part of me, right? But
that's part of your patience as well. To complete something.
I can't tolerate incompleteness.
You have patience to do that.
I don't have patience.
You do.
I don't know.
And we talked about this also in the show. Would you rather microwave something or heat it up on the stove?
I would rather put it in a toaster oven.
Okay, the toaster oven, the oven,
happy medium.
Whatever. It's still not as quick as a microwave.
Well, that's because I want my food hot. I don't want. It doesn't have to be, burnt hot. But if I'm reheating the food and the cooking temperature for that piece of chicken was 160 internally when we first made it, I needed to be 162 when we reheated. Okay, maybe not 162, maybe 158. Close enough though. So I need it so that it's not just steamy on the outside. I need it steamy on the inside. Whereas I know some people who, as long as it starts steaming on the outside, oh no, it's heated up. No, it isn't. It's still frozen in the middle. So no, I'm not that. That's where I don't have that. I'm patient enough that, hey, I want my food heated all the way.
Right, and I want you to understand that you have patience. You don't have patience for some things.
I have.
So you don't tolerate it.
3% patience.
Like you don't tolerate having food that's cold in the middle. You don't tolerate that. So you're patient enough
to wait.
So I don't want you to keep speaking that into the atmosphere that you don't have patience, because Maurice, you do. Everybody, Maurice has patience. Maurice has patience. Maurice has patience.
You know what my thought is?
Yes.
Before we leave, you know how you sit in church and they everybody the preacher or whatever else tell you to turn to that individual and throw your hand out to that person. That's what made me.
I started to go there, but I just decided to do the chant thing. So.
Yeah.
But
so
everybody,
reach out.
Your hand towards your listening device.
Right, and say, Maurice, we're praying for you.
Yeah.
Because I don't have it myself. Thank you very much for listening to the No Fruit Podcast.
And may you all be blessed with much more patience.
We'll talk to you later.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.